Hey everyone, welcome to Beach Investing. I'm your host, Marcin Wroblewski. Today we are in Jeff Reed's house in the prime beach. We're in the trenches here, and we're about to do I don't know what you call it, a sewer drain snaking inspection for the plumbing. That's why we have Marcin here from the Homes Inspection. How are you, Marcin?
How are you, Andre?
Welcome.
Don't shake your hand, but I get my magic gloves on, so we'll skip that part.
So what are you going to do here for us today?
Well, I'm going to discover all kinds of problems and hidden issues that are below grade. This house obviously goes through extensive rental, so it is essential to inspect the drains, find out what's going on, find out where they are exactly, and be able to determine if there's any maintenance, any repairs required or necessary, and give Jeff, the homeowner, the greatest news.
Jeff,
hey
come
guys.
on over here. So this is Jeff, the owner.
Hey guys.
You've seen him before, and we're doing the inspection. What else are you doing here, Jeff?
As a complete gut reno.
There's also a lot of people here. What's going on?
We're doing the mentoring class for the Drationist project. For the next 4 months, we're going to be teaching a mentoring on site once every 2 weeks for a couple of hours and show the progress of the renovation and how to manage contractors.
Awesome. So let's get on to the inspection.
Are you ready to
I'm nervous.
be surprised?
I'm nervous. Should I just hand it over now?
Just give me your wallet, your visa, and just don't worry about it. We'll take care of the rest.
Your visa might be expensive. Like we're going to be handing around a hat for contribution.
Oh, you're a cameraman too.
Just to give you guys a brief description now.
Jack of all trades.
Master of all.
That's it.
This is the video camera technology that gives us a pretty good understanding and an idea of what's happening below grade. This tool will not solve your problems. This tool will actually give you knowledge and power to make the educated decision, prevent your house, your assets from being damaged when you may experience a water backup or issues, as well as save you from tenants screaming and yelling at you that their belongings got contaminated and hell breaks loose. So it's, in my opinion, it is essential to run a video camera at almost every property you buy or any renovation you get into, just so you know exactly what's happening below grade. That's something, even if you buy a new property and you get professional home inspectors, then they're not obligated to use that. This is something additional on top of it, on top of the regular home inspection that is part of your own responsibility.
The reason, guys, why I want to camera these drains, because right now we have the floor removed, the concrete's removed, and so it's a good opportunity if I have to replace the drains. I always like to get them checked, because otherwise, after the floor is in place, it's a big expense.
Yeah, and I do service calls, and I've been to so many locations where either the homeowner just moved into a new property, they've gone through all the steps, they've done their home inspection, they've done their due diligence, and then literally days later, they end up getting it back up in the basement. They're getting concerned, they raise questions, they're looking at legal aspects of chasing the previous homeowner. However, in my opinion, they haven't done their homework completely. They haven't inspected everything, especially on the plumbing end. And in my eyes, part of the plumbing inspection is discovering what's below grade. Not only what's above, but also what's happening down below. Camera tells the story. I don't have to say much, to be honest. I always try to get involved, get the homeowners involved, let them see the picture, and they'll come up with questions for sure. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and Jeff has got his fingers crossed.
Probably since the 1920s that these drains haven't been touched. So,
see, first thing that I notice is when I come in here, this is the original cast iron stack. There are clear and visible modifications and additions. This is an ABS pipe which was originally black, that's been painted white just to match the color and make things pretty. Signs of weakness and deterioration that I see is crack in the stack. Obviously this house goes through extensive reno, so this whole thing will be ripped out. We did not even get down below. If you're not going through extensive rentals and you don't have the budget, you don't have intentions of ripping things apart, pay attention to little things when you do just a visual inspection, right? If things have been, this ABS pipe is black in color. If it was painted white, I would question why, either to cover up something. Same thing with this cast iron stack. Sometimes if it shows signs of leaks or rust, people will paint them just to cover it up. So that's, in my eyes, you know, those are signs that I question and I look closer, right? So, you ready, Jeff?
Anything wrong with leaving cast iron if it's not deteriorated?
What
For sound purposes or
Sorry,
something?
am I knocking your camera?
Cast iron has pros and cons. It is definitely a good material in terms of soundproofing insulation. If you go into a current material, which is the ABS, it is a little bit, it's louder. Like when you flush the toilet above, you'll be able to hear it if the pipe is not secured or insulated. But doing renovation, and especially when the concrete is removed, my issues and concerns are when the cast goes into the ground. The first, you have a cast iron 90, which changes direction from vertical to horizontal, and then the first 4 feet is also cast iron. Then it changes to clay tile material, which is the original material that's been used for drain systems. Yeah, short sections. Usually the bottom 90 and the first 4 feet is pretty bad, pretty rough. So sometimes the camera may not be able to go through because there's a lot of corrosion, a lot of build up there. And if the homeowner, if you guys are renovating basements or creating a basement suite, and the floor is ripped up for the bathroom, I would definitely look at the upgrade of at least the bottom section, right? The rest can be diagnosed as you go along, whether it's necessary or not, but the bottom section is what where I usually find problems. Right? So that's.
Do you need any help?
No, I should be able to feed that in.
Yeah, grab the bike.
Jeff, you have your checkbook ready?
You just want to lower your service fee. Right?
Is there anything? Can I get you a coffee?
Alcohol.
So that's what the cast iron looks like on the inside.
Just give everybody a chance to see it. I just posted it on Facebook. Oh, it's not even
Never any good news.
No.
That's cool.
See, we're getting into the bottom 90s, so we're changing directions. There's always a bit of resistance there.
The bottom 90, that's like 25 feet almost.
The counter hasn't been resetted,
Looks
so
good
that's
so
I wouldn't
far,
go by that.
Oh, okay.
Now the line changes from cast iron to clay pipe.
Yeah. No crack.
When I run a video camera, what I look for is obviously the type of material I'm dealing with. Whether it's cast iron, just below ground, or clay tile. If I see PVC or ABS, that means some upgrades have been done, some work was, some renovations took place. I don't look at it sort of any easier. I want to make sure that the work's been done properly, the slope has been maintained, and no shortcuts took place. So, based on the type of material, for instance, this is clay tile. I'm focusing on things like that. What we see here is a joint between two sections. On the left-hand side, you have a slight tree root penetration. Every joint has a potential, or I would say a weak spot. When you have tree root activity on the outside, joints are pretty fragile, and that's usually where tree roots start to get in. Clay material is very brittle. It's a strong material, but once you apply pressure, it will just crack. With those old houses and this type of material, once the ground settles, the house settles or ground shifts, crack will develop in the clay tile, and then the water will start seeping into the ground. What ends up happening is if there's a tree in the vicinity of a substantial size, the tree root activity will be actually stronger in a vicinity where that leak takes place. Obviously, tree roots are seeking moisture, and that's the perfect source for them. So this entire process takes years to develop, but what ends up happening is the tree root activity gets stronger. They get closer and closer to the vicinity of the pipe, eventually growing, expanding, pushing soil aside. They'll end up creating a larger crack and eventually penetrating and growing inside. That's the end of, or that's the beginning of the end, I would say, right? You can maintain it to a certain degree, but once you have a substantial amount of tree root growth or substantial amount of damage caused by tree roots, there's no other way but to actually excavate and replace that section. At the earliest, if it's discovered at the early stages, you can run electric snake and just keep trimming them. They'll buy you time. It does not provide you a permanent solution, but it will just give you an opportunity to either set a budget aside when, let's say, a basement tenant moves out, or plan down the road whenever time allows. See, this is a better view. See, it starts at the joint, and you can see it starts growing down the line.
Looks like spaghetti.
It's still true. It's still minor.
That's what Jeff wants to hear too.
Waiting right now.
Is it on the right?
It was when you the bottom of the pipe is right here.
Yeah.
Because that's where the traces of moisture that we see. The tree was yes at the bottom.
Okay.
Jeff, can I have your wallet, please? This is the surprise that I usually come across. It's literally a 90%, 95% blockage caused by tree roots.
Dewey.
It is.
Oh, yes.
What I'll do is I'm going to reset the count, and on the way back I'll be able to determine exactly how many feet it is from the stack. But those are the hidden problems, right? That's something that the home inspector will never be able to discover. You can move into the house, you can flush the toilet several times, you may not notice any difference, but then one day you'll wake up and you're going to be surprised.
Is there any way, like when you're inspecting a house, if you, I don't know, ran the laundry, flushed the toilets, ran the dishwasher, like try and did everything at the same time to see what would happen?
That's when you actually have a potential to discovering a problem like that, because
Should we do that?
you're increasing a volume of water, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously with conditions such as this one, you're not able. This drain will not able to discharge that volume of water instantaneously. So obviously the water will start building up, and then you'll end up with a backup in the basement. What you're recommending is a good approach. However, if
it backs up.
if it backs up, you end up flooding your house, right? So
Their house, because we're inspecting. Yeah, it's not our house yet.
sure.
Okay, I'm not buying. See ya.
Jeff's house.
The conditional period is still open.
Problems that you guys may come across is, for instance, some areas of the city are pretty hot, and it doesn't allow you to run a video camera inspection. Doesn't allow you to do your due diligence and hire whether it's plumber or HVAC guy or electrician to look into details. We get into multiple offers. We get into situations where we have to bid or try to get above asking price just to get the property. So even if that happens, again, one thing that I would recommend is once you take the possession, once you get the key, run the video camera. Go do your homework. Because things may look pretty on the outside, but down below, we have treasure.
And if you do this before your conditional period is up, then you can actually maybe get money back from the homeowner.
You can
Use it as
see
a
this
tool.
is
Use it as a tool, yeah.
this is see, the homeowner can turn around and say, well, I've never had any backup,
Right.
If there's one individual living in a house, they may never come to this to the point where the water will end up backing up in the basement. And then if that single tenant or single homeowner moves out and there's a family of 4, let's say, that moves in,
Or you add an apartment.
or you add a basement apartment, then you change completely the characteristics, right? Then this problem that's been developing over a number of years all of a sudden becomes just resurfaces.
I actually had a situation where I sold a rental property, and after I sold it and before it was closed, there was a backup.
Yeah.
So that became a big debate as to what should be done, and I had it scoped just like you're doing now once that happened,
Yeah.
and it was tree roots. So you could either cut out the tree roots and have a temporary solution that probably lasts for a year or so, or else you could spend $5,000 to $10,000 and it was a finished basement, dig it up and put in a new. So the argument that I had with the buyer was that he would benefit mostly from the major job, and what I was agreeable to do was cut the roots out. And it'd be good for a year or two, and in fact, he could continue to do that every year
Yeah.
for a fairly low cost, and not dig up the basement and do the major job.
Yeah.
Of course, he wanted the major job done, so we went back and forth, and eventually we settled on something, but it got a little nasty and heated.
It's difficult to let's say give a time frame how long it took for this particular problem, let's say, to develop. If let's say the current homeowner was living for, let's say, 2 or 3 years, this thing could have been developing over the last, let's say, 5 or 10, right? It starts with a small tree root, just like we saw it earlier, right? And then it develops, and it takes time. So it's for a plumbing contractor, it's literally impossible to determine or pinpoint whether it's been 2 years, 5 years, right?
Norway maple is a bad tree, because apparently the Norway maple has the roots the same size as its drip line. So the outside edge of the tree is how far, they can go a couple 100 feet for the roots.
Yeah. So what I do is when I arrive to a property for plumbing inspection, I look at the perimeter first. I look at the front lawn, the backyard, to see if there are any mature trees, whether on the property of interest or the adjacent properties. Keep in mind that even if I see a tree growing across the street, I also take that into account, because city trees those are usually city trees, and they've been trimmed and maintained over the years. So what you look at is not necessarily the actual size of the tree, right? So I may discover problems on the private side, or I may discover problems on the city side before the line from this particular house connects to the city sewer. And that would be a city problem that obviously the homeowner would have to deal directly with the city. But part of the video camera inspection is obviously indicating type of problems, as well as locating where they are, whether they are on the private side or the city side. Obviously, if it's on the city side, the municipality will look after that at no charge to you, but they need to be advised. So you have to contact them, give them a report from a plumber, possibly a DVD or some sort of a footage indicating it, and then they'll take action to rectify it.
So there used to be grants for this sort of thing, but I think they no longer exist, do they?
There used to be, the city had cutbacks. They used to have a $2,000 rebate, which was applicable towards issues such as this one, tree roots that were pretty much tree roots.
I've got the current one.
You have the current
Anybody
one?
wants to take a look? This is printed off the internet yesterday. That's what the current grants that are given for.
They used to have a $2,000 drain grant for repairs to the sanitary line caused by city-owned tree. That's been actually unfortunately canceled earlier this year. However, there are other programs that homeowners can take advantage of. One of them is what's called the backwater valve. I've been to houses where the sanitary line was crystal clear, was sloped properly, had no issues, no offsets, no misalignments, was crystal clear. However, the homeowner was experiencing backups. And those backups were actually taking place or happening because of problems that were developing on the city side. If that happens, one way to protect the house is by installation of what's called a backwater valve. There is there's a $1,250 towards that, or 80% of the cost of the invoice.
Backwater valve just stops water from the city coming back up into the house.
If you look at the handout in a folder that I gave you, there's a description of advantages as well as a diagram how it works. It's pretty much a valve that's open under normal circumstances. There's literally like a gate that's hinged at the bottom, and it lies open, lies flat under normal circumstances. The water can pass freely. The maintenance equipment such as the camera or electric snake can pass freely through it. But if there's a water backing up from the city, that gate, that flopper, we call it, will lift up and will stay closed as long as the pressure is being applied from the city side. So that's one way to protect your house. And also worth mentioning is when you purchase a property or you have a property that had some flooding issue in the past, I would contact the municipality and I would ask them if there's any record of flooding. There could be the street or particular area in the city could be subjected to constant flooding due to city problems, and they'll disclose that to you. That way you know that there's a potential for you guys, for the house to be to experience water damage. Also in the past, even if if the city didn't have any problems, but the previous homeowner was calling and requesting a service, the city would also have documentation of that. So it gives a good start by just digging and asking questions, and the city would definitely be able to help out with that. So I'll try to push my camera past that point, just so we can see what's going on.
The city website's got some really good diagrams, if anybody's interested in this. It goes into depth about why flooding is caused in the basement. It's pretty simple. If you're in a low, sort of a gully, on a road at the low part, then it's kind of like, imagine a pond forming in a heavy rain, and so all of the houses in there have potential for flooding if they don't have the backwater bump.
What I'm seeing here, I passed the tree root. See, the tree root is right. It was pretty much right there where the elbow is.
How did it look?
And what I'm looking at is, I see water, and you can see that there's just a water fluctuation here. What this is it's called a building trap. It's the trap that the same type of trap that you see underneath your kitchen sink. It's that U-turn. It holds the water. The purpose of that is to prevent sewer gases from coming into the house. It's useless, to be honest, because every fixture in a house has its own trap.
There's a trap right there.
It protects, exactly, it protects, every fixture is protected by the trap. Therefore, this building trap does not really serve any purpose. It's been eliminated by plumbing code years and years ago because of numerous problems. One of them is obviously tree roots because of the constant water that sits there. And eventually, like I said, like I indicated before, clay pipes will develop some cracks or offsets, and that water will always be escaping into the ground. So so number one is being a potential for problems of tree root growth in the vicinity of that. Also, another issue is that video camera or electric snake will not be able to pass through the building trap. I will not be able to push this camera any farther, and running electric snake would also be nearly impossible. So to tell Jeff or any homeowner what's happening beyond that point at this stage is impossible. So even if the city came down here to investigate their site, they wouldn't be able to gain access from this property because of this building trap arrangement.
So is the building trap on the private side?
The building trap is always on the private side, and nowadays when it's being, every contractor in the city that deals with drain systems and is aware of the condition of the sanitary line and the existence of the building trap will recommend the removal of that. The trap gets removed and it's replaced with a straight pipe and just a cleaner for access for maintenance and maintenance and inspection purposes.
So how far away from where we are now is that?
What I'll do is I'm going to reset the counter.
So, build a front yard somewhere.
We are, yeah,
I figure as much.
we are definitely.
I had to replace one of those traps
Yeah.
sometime.
How much is that?
Dig up a bunch, well, it depends what you have to dig up. I had to dig up a bunch of interlocks. It was a lot more expensive.
Marcin, how deep, how difficult it is? Whether it goes down 8 feet or what happens, you know what I mean?
I'm just gonna read
It goes down to,
No, it's not that deep.
no, it's going on an angle.
It's pretty shallow, yeah.
4 feet below and it starts to go
Pretty shallow,
down.
yeah.
No,
Okay, so
because
that makes
of
it easier not
the
to dig down
fire
8 feet.
No.
code situation with the neighbors and stuff.
So
When you're pulling out, if you can tell me the depth, so I can determine whether I'm gonna hire somebody expensive like you to dig or whether.
I tend to
Whoa.
work for free.
Yeah.
Oh, really? When did you start that?
I've always done that.
Work for free?
Yeah.
Depends who he's working for, I guess.
Please.
Except for when he was working for his wife, that's the most expensive.
Yeah, like if I was charged, I think triple.
So based on your observation, Marcin,
Yeah, sorry.
what's the conclusion here? What's the damage?
Well, Jeff will not lose all of his money on the drain issues here. However, my recommendation is, considering that the basement is in this condition, has been all exposed, concrete's been removed, I would upgrade those drains to PVC,
Yeah.
replace the stack to ABS, and obviously carry this all the way up to the roof.
So your recommendation is to replace all of the drains that are inside of the house at this point?
I would, yeah. Considering the extent of the work, considering that you've got the concrete removed,
This is the time to do
It's the smartest thing to do at this stage.
We're
And,
looking probably 6 or 7 feet deep by the time we get down there.
you are.
it. No.
It seems like the line. It seems like the line. I'll tell you exactly how deep it is. But from the way it seems, it looks on the screen is it's got a consistent slope, and then probably at the property line or even on the city side, it will take a substantial dive down. So from the labor aspect, it doesn't look like it's going to be you're not going to have to go 8 feet down here. It's probably 2-3 feet at the most. So.
Dewey's happy, he doesn't have to dig 20 feet down.
Like, whoa, 8 feet here? Whoa, Jesus.
Yeah, typically.
What are you laughing at? You're digging.
But it's not 8 feet, so
That's why he's happy.
Typically, sanitary drain runs anywhere between 6 and I've seen ones at 6 feet at 6 foot depth, and then some at 12 foot depth. To be honest, so it varies. Keep in mind when you go into the basement, the drain runs about 2 feet, 3 feet, sometimes below concrete slab. So when you're outside, you've got to dig the basement depth plus additional, right, a couple feet. So
it looks like these drains were replaced when this house was lifted.
Yeah, I was going to say
it
that.
seems like it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all clay, right?
Because they are in pretty decent shape.
House was lifted in the mid-20s.
Yeah, they're in pretty decent shape. Like condition of the clay material is pretty good. There's only one issue at the front where the camera stopped, but other than that, you've got one minor tree root growth that is starting, but that can easily be maintained. So like by just running electric snake every 2-3 years. So
They probably didn't have plumbing before then.
They had horse and carriages, so.
It's going to be a single family house.
There's an outhouse in the backyard.
did in a little,
That tree house back there is actually the outhouse.
So what's your liability? You can't knowingly leave something, or else you can be
What's
sued.
an electric snake? What does that do?
electric snake is it looks like a spring, literally like a long spring, with and you have different attachments that you put at the end. You have one attachment for tree roots, you have attachment for grease, you have attachment for various problems that you may come across. That spring is fed by a machine that's got quite a bit of torque.
Okay.
And then that is used to clean the drains, to maintain them. So depending on the type of problem you deal with, there are various sizes of electric snake.
Okay.
You have ones that are suitable for small 1.5 and 2-inch lines, and you have bigger machines that are used for 4-inch lines or main lines, right? So usually the ones for the main are the ones that have tree root cutters and a lot more variety of bits that can be implemented. So,
Marcin, I think Andre's going to wrap up the video. I just want to thank you. We need to get a hold of you. If anybody does, how do they get a hold of you?
you've got my business card as well as the website expressorder.ca. If you guys have any questions, feel free to call. I'll be more than happy to pass my knowledge to you and give you.
Have a look at the website, guys. Expressrouter.ca.
How about emergency calls?
I'm sorry.
You deal with emergency calls like Sunday morning, 7 o'clock in the morning?
I specialize in the service. So we have a flat rate, 7 days a week, 24 hours. There's no overtime charge. There's no weekend charge, and we can get a service guy to your location literally within an hour. And we work on upfront pricing, so you're not going to get a shocking bill at the end. We tend to shock you upfront. But it's my approach is very simple. I have a knowledge and experience, and I want to pass it to you and give you all the options and leave your responsibility to you to make the right decision, right? If I can accomplish that, give you all the options, educate you as much as I can, my job is done. I'm happy. So, on the website, you can find out that we have a blog. We also have some informative stuff that you can definitely take advantage of. Some pictures and from different job sites. So feel free to check it out. If you guys have any questions, feel free to call me. Like I said, I'll be glad to help out.
Thanks, Marcin.